Right, so I was going to mention a few more things. There's improbable value, where people value off your improbable capacity, which means your capacity is put out of order in the world while you're disliked or vengeance against an institution. Now, someone just came at the back of my head there, I mentioned a voice there to say something distinguishingly there, which is for me to conclude against what I had in my mind there a minute ago. So I'm going to kind of trying to recall what I want to say. But if I've gone blank, there one single word or a few words against the back of my mind. And this is a TG fee, or her entity, whatever you call it, where she looks like the Claire Brown from the Claire Brown show. And this is what I get persisting as someone who has investments in the big pharma companies who doesn't want to lose their closure, I suppose. But then to find herself the impoverished, basically. I'm not saying I'm distinguished impoverished, I'm not that wealthy though. But I have a lot of wealth lifelong about me, like I have my health, which is being distinguished though in some way, shape or form as far as I'm concerned through this process, is what I talk about. But I'm going to say there's impossible value, which is also being disliked by members of society. There's improbable value. There's an inclusive value, which means you don't get to play any sports, darts, anything like that. You don't get to go out in the wilderness if you want to go out in the wilderness. There's no hiding places where you want to hide away for a while and get away from the world. I'm not saying people might, I see this part now, you think I'm guilty of crimes and I want to hide away. I hide away from my own security. I go into nature and commune with nature and get in touch with my own home, my own spirit, my own boundaries. And that's where I feel my limits are met, so I try to overcome them by meeting them, if there's any consolation to you. There's also complicit value where people are forced to complicit within the laws of the land. I don't believe this is negatable in the sense that it should be avoided if people choose it to be avoided. And I believe it's a matter of choice over these mentally restricted environments called laws, which means they only exist in the mind because they're only written by the mind. They're not written in the heart and the soul because they don't include or induce by them. The fourth thing is loss of life as well. They don't encounter the suicidal tendencies that go on within man as a possibility when you're in these type of institutions, because there's no board out. People come in here, you go into the green, you go into all these places and you look for an escape inherently, and inevitably I saw a chap in here go through it today where he thought he couldn't go on the walk inherently, and just say that I was in a few weeks ago he wanted to escape, and he started asking how do I escape this place in a certain sense, or what was the escape plan. He didn't distinctly use these words, I won't put words into his mouth, but he implied that he had that shiver about him when he wanted to get out of the situation. As to recognise with certain people who are told they can't leave a certain place, which is a form of dictation. I don't believe in dictation. It is a bit of a Hitler kind of rulish, like entity kind of not entity, but kind of trait, I suppose, which is what some of these people seem to have. I think they can rule the lives of others in the court of their supremacy, which is where they vindicate themselves being higher beings than other people. A TG or initials for someone's name, if you haven't caught on to that distinguisher wants me done in for a rape accusation when I have masturbated to the girl, to be honest with you, and her father went a bit nuts and tried to kill me off apparently, but he didn't really. He's actually a nice man, but she is distinguishably questionable in my eyes. Immobility, you're immobile for several months, if not several years at the time when you went to these institutions, in the sense of being scarced and scathed by humanity because you're accused of being a threat. This is also something that can be integrated into the minds of men through the matter of perception, which people have as a fixed perception, and they may not necessarily have the means to correlate or come above it, because they believe some people who have doctorates or doctorates are more trustworthy than those who are theirs, but they're supposed to subjugate, and the reason I use the word subjugate is because you do feel subjugated underneath them. And you don't unequal measures in the land. The land is based on the measure of equality, the foundations of the land, even in the megalithic era, where the megalithic crew built are often based on the measure of equality, even though there would have been distinguished royal leagues, they would have been elected for a reason. And that's why my royal ancestry goes back to Newgrange and Hill like that. As far as I know, I distinctly feel the way as a Kelly or an Acolic, and I have no doubt about that for a second. Formidability, people become very formidable, but there's also the notion of enclosability. I want to mention this one, where you wet yourself every time coming into this room in a posse, because sometimes they're roam around the 4s and 5s to inject you if you don't take your drugs, and it's another forced method. There is the notion of enclosability, where you feel your measures being closed, and if you don't get treated equally, you can't need to harm. In a sense, you feel you want to harm yourself to escape your situation. I can't say I've done this personally, but I've met the situation where I've seen self-harm being done in here, and this is something we have to face as societal members, where a burden is brought on us, and no one has a so-called heart, but everyone has an imbued heart in the sense of feeling the pain of others. Most people do anyway, is what I'd say. Fourthly, there's the notion of recursionary value, where you start effing and blinding and cursing, and people conclude against you saying you're dark, you're evil, or you're a prick, or whatever it is, because you're cussing them out, and that's because you want out of a certain situation, but they can't regard the situation because they don't understand what you're going through. But it's the same as seeing with another gentleman here who barely can speak English, and I see his pain every day. That's another thing you have to face. But I'm saying that admittance is the other part of it. You don't get to admit your truth to the world because you're a convicted environment. they're cut off from the world, and the world is not what you're going through. And surely some people in society, if they know what you're truly going through, which is feel your dignity, your value, and your prejudice was being brought down. And what the word is reading is with prejudice is because you're feeling being prejudiced against, but also you want to prejudice your own case, or vindicate your own case, that it becomes an implausible matter where it's already been decided you're not allowed to. These are all also unequal measures under the Constitution. It says equality is the basis of law in this country. So if I'd ever met a circuit court, I'd have made it back to my home for good, but that wasn't permitted this time round. I was altering out the Mental Health Commission. I tried it on twice last week, and I left a very vulgar message on the last day saying, F and I'm blind, and basically saying, listen, you can't do this, and you better not do this, and etc, etc. They never got back to me, because I think power oversees kind of remissible value, where people know they're in the wrong when you have a valid point to prove, and that's why people don't tune in and listen. The other point I wanted to prove was deterrence. You feel deterred by society as a value of concept because you can't get a job, you're omitted for certain reasons, and these are unequal measures as well. And these are very unbountiful fatigues to go through, which is like fictitious fatigues, where you feel fatigued all the time, whether it's because of drugs or anything else, I don't know, but you feel restless when your mind's concluded against or vindicated against. Concussory measures also another reality, where you feel you don't sleep, or you're actually on drugs that makes you lethargic or sedated or whatever it is. Vulgar terms are used behind closed doors in here. I hear them a lot of the time because I'm very in touch and in tune. I hear vulgar terms used, and these people feel they're more bountiful than others to run other people's lives. I don't believe that should be the case. I believe these are unequal measures, they're not internal measures that need to be provoked and analysed. The reason I say provoked, I mean they really need to be provoked in the sense of really getting to the root of it, why people have such grudges in this world and want to admit to them. And they can't just speak their own truth. They have to concede being in the name of vengeance, and I don't trust vengeance for a second. Practicality as well. It's not practical about people in locked facilities when you say they're hospitals, because if the hospitals, they truly would be hospital-like in the sense of being able to leave when you want to leave. And if I have the legs to walk, why would I have the legs to walk? You're saying there's something wrong with my mind. You're saying I'm some sort of murderer, some sort of convicted criminal, or some sort of suicide attempter. I've never attempted suicide. I've never stabbed anyone. I've never harmed anyone really my whole life. I've thought about it all right, but these are thoughts I go through everyone on occasion, as far as I can tell. And if you don't, you're a pure being. But I consider myself a pure being and pure enough to go through much life without need interference. And I guarantee you I never had much trouble until the point I was sectioned in 2012. That's really one thing that's fell apart to me. So that's why I'm really admitting this time around. We're getting home now in the next 3 weeks, and that should be it. And that's what I'm thankful for. But I feel there's still maybe possibly a concerted plan to work against my brain, but I feel I have very little brainwave activity going on by the time the concerted plan is finished. But that's what I plan to get back on my feet and get back kicking arse again. I'll be doing photography, whatever else it is. And that means early mornings, late nights, and whatever else it takes. So that's what I don't mind doing. That's why I don't mind people telling me to eat well with a dietitian or sleep well with a doctor, or whatever else, or hygiene as well. I share most once every 2 days where I feel comfortable in my own body to do it when I choose to do it, and that's a matter of choice. And if everyone should have to do it, it's a matter of choice. If you don't, you are a darkness personified. That's the only way I can see you. And you can claim to have sincere aspirations, but mostly it's in the name of primacy and making money. But by way of saying primacy, it's taking your primacy. I mentioned that word data waves. Gender has taken something off me again. This is the way I've been established by putting unconscious some stage and rigged up in some way, shape, or form. I don't have to explain it, but I know it happened last year in this hospital where they took me apart practically when they put me sedated. They closed the curtains and they put me in the injection. I went sedated and I woke up feeling completely different. And that's why I'd like people to watch my video once again of me getting dragged in here by handcuffs 2 years ago in 2020 or so. And section because I want to leave the hospital. The guards arrived out and took me by force, and this is something they seem to enjoy. This is something that needs to be analysed in society again, is why people have such begrudging, demented like forces about them, or forcefulness, should I say? Because I understand I hit bouts of debutantes, which is where I feel interfered with in my life, and I don't know how to express it, and it does create a form of lashing out. Or I've gone out to my container and banged a stick, or I've gone into my little workshop and cut up bits of timber so I can smack them off something easily and just express the pain I have within me, really. And if people don't recognise it's a form of pain, I don't know what to say, but that's what people need to learn, to be more conservative and more compassionate, you know, because it's about compassion in this world, really, that will get people by, and it's about the heart that will really win people over. It's not about intellect or head likeness, which is what we often hate. That's because that's a customary term of the collective where people are stuck in their minds, and that's a deeply doubtful place, but that's what we meet sometimes. That's a painful place to be. But I'm once again going to speak from my heart and say I love life, I love people, and I love gender generally, but some of these systems are sick and disturbing. And especially the part where I say if you practically wet yourself when people come in and just surround you and close your curtain and you choose to inject it, you say no, I want to do it anyway. And I've come as far, I've been through a lot of things aren't that bad, but at the same time I don't think they're worse. And that's why I'm putting these up for future reference, that people understand these are painful, scary places to be, these institutions, unless you have the strength to show up. But when you're convicted in your own mind that you're not allowed to leave, or that you're mentally concussed in a sense, you're not allowed to make decisions yourself, but you strongly feel inside people don't know your internal value and your internal strengths. That's what they have to meet before they should make any bountiful decisions. I'd also suggest people really think about the 2 to 4 week leave thing, where people get a night leave they choose after 2 to 4 weeks, rather than traveling me here for 15 weeks, which was excruciating pain. To set an example of me apparently is one word on the thing, but the other point I proved was to avoid my excellence points and me getting my heavenly points. So these are things that need to be analysed. If anyone watches these videos, I question the reason of doing it, and I still have faith in him coming, regardless. That's what I believe in. So we'll see how it goes. But I've been going there my own way by getting off these drugs, getting home, and living a healthy lifestyle like I usually do. And that's it. And for the last sake of it, for the last matter, I'm going to say, please give my cans back to the around the guards for a nice guard station there the other day. I wanted to answer the cannons back that you took off me, because I don't understand the Constitution going through, and I don't understand you'd know what to take it in the first place. I have to have a right to a healthy medicine, but that's the last thing I'm going to say for now. We might laugh at it, but this is a serious case where I want some cannabis to alleviate my sedation, and to alleviate me to sedate me on a nightly basis where I can't sleep. Thank you.